Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are pointing our telescopes at, well, probably the most recognizable constellation out there, at least in the Northern Hemisphere.
Orion, the hunter.
Orion, exactly.
Hmm?
But we are looking way beyond just the astronomy for this deep dive.
Oh, way beyond.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because the source material we've pulled together, it treats Orion as something more, not just a random bunch of bright stars, but a deliberate cosmic blueprint.
Blueprint, yeah.
And what just immediately jumped out at me was the sheer conflict in the sources, the dichotomy. On one hand, you have Orion being linked with these really clear biblical motifs, the Messiah, the true Christ, the Conqueror. And then on the other hand, it's fiercely tied to Luciferian esoteric ideas. It's the symbol for the Antichrist.
It's an incredible duality. And that's really why we're here, to try and synthesize these views. All these sources treat Orion as part of a deliberate design. There's prophecy, there's ancient mirroring.
So where do we even start with that?
We have to start with the astronomical geography. We have to look at Orion's place in the Mazzaroth, what most people just call the Zodiac, and understand its most important role across all these traditions.
Which is?
The celestial gatekeeper.
A gatekeeper. Okay, a gatekeeper of what exactly?
Well, to define the gate, we first have to sort of define the neighborhood.
Fair.
From here on Earth, you can imagine the ecliptic. It's this invisible line in the sky. It's the path the sun, the moon, and all the planets take as they move through the cosmos.
It's like the main highway.
It's the main highway, and the ring of that highway is made up of the 12 signs of the Mazzaroth.
Zodiac signs.
Exactly. And the key thing here is Orion isn't on the highway.
Okay.
It's standing right next to a major intersection guarding it. Orion is the celestial sentinel to what the esoteric sources call the Silver Gate.
The Silver Gate. Why that name? Why is that spot so important?
It's all about timing. When the sun, which is, traveling on that ecliptic highway, when it reaches the Silver Gate, that moment lines up perfectly with the summer solstice.
June 20th, 21st, the longest day of the year.
The longest day of light. And this is the moment, according to the sources, that Orion becomes the ultimate light bearer. It's literally carrying the most light possible.
And you can't have light without darkness, I assume? There must be an opposite.
There is, absolutely. Yeah. The Silver Gate is the entrance to the, let's say, upper half of the zodiac. Its polar opposite on the ecliptic is the Golden Gate.
And that would be?
The winter solstice. December 20th, that's where the sun starts its return, and its guardian is Ophiuchus.
The serpent bearer.
The serpent bearer. Yeah. Sometimes associated with, primordial darkness. The contrast is really stark.
It really is. So 6 months apart, you have Orion, the mighty hunter, at the gate of maximum light, and then Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, at the gate of return.
And the imagery makes it even more potent. On the summer solstice, Orion is visually depicted with his right arm stretched out, holding the sun.
Like a torch.
Exactly. A literal blazing torch of light.
And that torch idea, that's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, it's become this universal symbol for freedom, liberation, enlightenment.
It is, but the source material is very, very specific about the duality here. It argues that this powerful torch motif, the divine light bearer, has been actively usurped.
Usurped by who?
By Lucifer. The figure of the Antichrist is said to have co-opted this exact image for his own story, positioning himself as the real light bringer, like Prometheus stealing fire from the gods.
The Lord of the Ring, as some sources put it.
In a cosmic sense, yes.
Okay, let's just pause on that, because that's a huge claim. The sources are basically arguing we need to be careful to tell the difference between the divine light and this usurped light. So the design itself is good, but the meaning has been flipped.
That is the absolute core of the argument. The template is divine, but the symbolism has been inverted. And that question, is it the conqueror or is it the deceptive light, that brings us right down to earth? Because this cosmic design, it isn't just theory.
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
It's an architectural template.
We're moving into astroarchaeology. The idea that Orion's pattern isn't just in the sky, it's mirrored precisely in ancient sacred sites here on Earth.
It's a theory of celestial copy. The blueprint, as the hypothesis goes, it starts at the highest level, heaven itself. Then it flows down through the cosmos, it's seen on other planets like Mars, and then finally it's copied here on Earth.
Like a divine signature.
A signature for centers of power. The sources argue the layout of heaven itself might be tied to the structure of Orion.
So what's the specific pattern? What are we supposed to be looking for on the ground?
It's a very specific triangle shape, a triangulation. You're looking for 3 main structures, 3 temples, Usually one large prominent one, a second one that's maybe a bit larger, and then a third smaller one that's a little offset.
And the alignment has to match the 3 belt stars of Orion.
Perfectly. Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. The relative distances, the angles, it all has to match.
And the big one, the one that basically launched this whole field of study, has to be the 3 pyramids of Giza.
That's the textbook case. The precision at Giza, right down to how the smallest pyramid is slightly offset, just like the star Mintaka proponents of the theory say, that's undeniable proof.
But it's not just Giza, that's the thing. It's global.
That's what gives the source material so much weight. You see the same triangulation so clearly in Mexico at Teotihuacan. The 3 main pyramids there follow the same celestial pattern.
And other ancient power centers too, right? Like Luxor or Persepolis?
Yes. In places like Luxor or the old Persian city of Persepolis, you often find this grand avenue leading to 3 temples, and they're all configured along what they call celestial ley lines, which connect not just to Orion, but sometimes to the Pleiades nearby as well.
And then there's a really mind-bending part. The sources say this exact same 3-point pattern is visible on Mars.
In the Cydonia region, yes.
Which, if true, would suggest this isn't just an earthly thing, it's a universal divine pattern.
And that cosmological connection, that universal pattern, it leads us directly into how this is all interpreted in classic biblical decoding texts.
Like E.W. Bullinger's The Witness of the Stars.
That's the main one, yes.
Okay, so let's get into that. What do the ancient names themselves tell us about this figure in the sky?
The oldest spelling, Orion, it comes from a Hebrew root that means light. So the name itself means coming forth as light.
And in Akkadian?
Orana, the light of heaven. The depiction through the ages is always consistent. He isn't just a hunter. He's a mighty, triumphant, glorious prince, a symbol of victory.
And you can see that victory in his posture.
It's a story of conquest, told visually. His left foot is planted right on the head of the enemy, which is the constellation Lepus the Hare. And he's girded with that famous belt carrying a sharp sword.
But it's the sword hilt. That's the detail that, for me, just locks in the connection to the Christian narrative.
It's an incredible detail, isn't it? The source points out that the hilt of his sword is specifically in the shape of the head and body of a lamb.
The lamb that was slain.
It's a direct link. It ties Orion not just to conquest, but to sacrifice. I mean, why would a random cluster of stars just happen to have a lamb on its sword hilt? The argument is for deliberate intent.
And the names of the individual stars, they back this up too.
They completely seal it. Betelgeuse, the bright star on his shoulder, that translates to the coming of the branch.
Which is a prophetic title for Jesus.
A direct reference. Then you have Rigel in his foot, which means the foot that crushes, and Bellatrix, the other shoulder, means quickly coming or swiftly destroying. The whole picture is of an imminent conquering power.
And even the belt stars.
Even the belt stars tell a story of his suffering. Al-Nitak means the wounded one. And the star Sif in his right leg means bruised.
Which connects directly back to Genesis 3.15. The serpent bruises the heel of the promised seed.
Exactly. The conclusion from these texts is that the heavens themselves are a witness. They testify to this conqueror and his sacrifice.
It's just amazing how these ancient texts seem to describe this whole cosmic blueprint. Which brings us to today and what happens when that blueprint is about to face a huge astronomical event.
Betelgeuse.
The fact is, it's a red giant, and astronomers now think it's going to go supernova much, much sooner than we thought. Maybe the next decade, maybe sooner.
And of course, since it's 724 light years away, the explosion has already happened. We're just waiting for the light to reach us.
Right. But the phrasing in the sources really stands out. It says Betelgeuse approaches its end of days.
And this event, which will be so bright you can see it during the day, it ties directly into that prophetic framework.
So the question the sources are asking is, could this huge, globally visible supernova line up with the signs that are prophesied to come with Jesus' second coming?
Given Orion's deep connection to the sign of the Savior, they argue that such a spectacular event would absolutely fit the grandeur of what's described as the Day of the Lord.
And this all comes back around to the argument for intelligent design. The sources use Orion's layout to say the universe isn't random.
They point to the phi ratio, the golden ratio. It's this mathematical constant, about 1.618, that you find in perfect proportions all through nature, in art, in architecture.
A sort of divine fingerprint.
That's a good way to put it. The claim is that the whole constellation, the distances between the key stars, it's all laid out in phi ratio proportion. And the argument is that this kind of mathematical perfection is, well, statistically impossible to happen by chance.
So it's proof the universe isn't just some random goo of gases.
But a meticulously designed creation.
And a beautifully designed template, which the sources say makes it the perfect thing to try and copy or usurp. So let's go back to those occult motifs Lucifer has supposedly co-opted. We mentioned the Statue of Liberty.
Right. If Orion is the original light bearer holding that solstice torch, then the most famous modern version of that torch is the Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
The source notes that her design, particularly the seven-rayed crown, is based on the ancient goddess Libertas, who, in certain occult circles, is associated with Lucifer as the bringer of light.
So it's the same template, but the symbolic meaning has been flipped.
Exactly. It's promoting a different kind of enlightenment, a false one, according to the sources.
They also get into some really complex geometry to describe the occult imagery, the all-seeing eye motif. How does Orion fit into that?
This part is fascinating. When the sun is right at the Silver Gate, the ecliptic line and the equatorial line, which runs right through Orion's belt, they intersect. And the shape they create frames Orion inside what looks like the top of a pyramid, a pyramidion.
And that's the origin of the all-seeing eye symbol.
That's the argument. And the center point, the fulcrum of the phi ratio spiral that defines this whole geometric shape, is the star Alnitak.
The wounded one.
The wounded one. And what's so visually powerful is that Alnitak is located right next to the famous Horsehead Nebula, which in these sources is often interpreted as the Dragon Nebula.
So the mathematical center is right next to this symbolic enemy.
It's all incredibly layered. And if we pull back to see the biggest picture, the sources say Orion doesn't just show us the conqueror, but also the crucifixion itself.
How so?
The intersection of the solstitial collier, that's the vertical center line of the cosmos, and the equatorial line running horizontally through his belt. It creates a massive astronomical cross right over the constellation.
So you have the lamb on the sword, the conqueror, the bruised heel, and the cross, all in one celestial figure.
The conclusion from this material is that Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of everything Orion represents. He's the true conqueror, the true light bearer, the Nike, which means victory, and the true gatekeeper to heaven. You have to understand the original, they say, to spot the copy.
So, after all that, what does it all mean? I mean, we've gone from the three belt stars to the pyramids at Giza and Teotihuacan. We've talked about the physics of a star about to explode, modern symbols like the Statue of Liberty, and deep, deep prophecy. It seems Orion is this incredible, multifaceted template, a blueprint for immense power, but also duality. It all depends on how you read it.
Which really brings up a critical question, something for you, the listener, to think about. If we take the source's claims that the universe is divinely designed according to the phi ratio, and that this divine pattern of Orion has been actively usurped to promote a false enlightenment, well, how can we apply that critical lens to other things?
So us symbols.
Other modern symbols of light, freedom, and enlightenment that we see all around us. The challenge is to think about how these ancient templates might still be at work in the most powerful messages we receive today.
A fascinating framework to think about. Until our next deep dive, keep digging. And on the next clear night, keep looking up.